First at 7, the search for a teenager who disappeared in the St. Johns River, ending in tragedy. Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Heather Crawford. The body of Riley Teixeira was found this afternoon. The sheriff's office says that the 16-year-old was in a canoe last night when it tipped over. Officers from 7 different law enforcement agencies packing up today. They were out there on the water and in the air for at least 17 hours. On your side's Tristan Hardy is at the Mandarin Park dock with what we've learned.
So right now, the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission is taking over the investigation. And this particular spot I'm in right now is where dive and rescue teams were meeting up from JSO to St. Johns County Fire and Rescue. Officials say they were going to turn over every rock to find this missing team. So what we do know is that 3 people were riding a canoe last night. And after the boat turned over, 2 were able to swim to shore and call for help. And that's when the St. Johns County Sheriff's Office got a call around 8 o'clock concerning a canoe that flipped over. While the FWC is looking into this, they can't say if Teixeira or the other 2 canoe riders were wearing life jackets. As of now, investigators are trying to determine how the boat tipped over. Teixeira, the missing teen, was found around 1:30 this afternoon. Officials say this isn't how they wanted to end the day. However, they can give the missing teen's family some closure.
We were going to make sure that we overturned every stone and left we were going to run down every end. So obviously at some point you're going to roll into a recovery effort, but up until this point this was solely a rescue effort.
The FWC says it is easy to flip over while canoeing, so they urge the importance of wearing a life jacket. As for the other teens riding with Teixeira, deputies say it was just a bunch of guys hanging out and suddenly an accident happened. For now, we're in Mandarin. I'm Tristan Hardy, First Coast News, on your side.
Tristan, thank you. And 1 person is dead, several others injured after this crash right here that made an RV roll over several times. It happened late this morning on I-295 northbound near the old St. Augustine Road exit. 2 people were trapped. Florida Highway Patrol is investigating. Now to the pandemic, and Florida's most recent update on the COVID-19 numbers show another sharp drop in cases, but they also show that the statewide death toll is going up at a faster rate. Friday's report shows 42,000 new cases for the week ending Thursday, February 17th. That's the lowest one-week total since mid-December, just before the more contagious Omicron variant became the dominant strain. Now, in the 2 years since the pandemic began, Florida's death toll is now nearly 69,000 lives lost. For a 4th straight week, the death toll has gone up by more than 1,000. And the chart you're taking a look at on your screen right now is from the state's weekly reports. It shows more than 1,000 people every week have been dying of the virus as far back as mid-January. COVID-19 highlighting the importance of becoming an organ donor. Complications from the virus can result in fluid buildup and inflamed lungs, making it hard for patients to breathe. In some cases, lungs are badly damaged. The only option in those cases, a transplant. Matt Rogers had a double lung transplant here at the Mayo Clinic last year after suffering a near-deadly COVID diagnosis. He survived after a 15-hour surgery.
God has been gracious to me, and I look at things through a different lens now. The sky's more blue. The sunsets and the sunrises are more beautiful than ever.
Really puts it into perspective, doesn't it? And you might be surprised to learn that the hospital leading the country in COVID-related lung transplants is right here in our own backyard. On your side's Robert Bradfield has a special report on the extraordinary work being done to save lives. You can see that tonight at 11, only on First Coast News. And if you want to find a location close to you to get vaccinated, text the word vaccine to that number on your screen, 904-633-2402. We'll send you a link with all the information where you can go. A waiting game at the federal courthouse in Brunswick. Deliberations will resume tomorrow morning following a day of closing arguments in an emotionally charged hate crime trial of the 3 men convicted of murdering Ahmaud Arbery. So here are 3 things to know tonight. After 6 days of testimony, the 12-member jury began deliberating around 3 o'clock this afternoon. They must consider 5 separate counts against the 3 defendants, and the verdict must be unanimous for each one. On your side's Ann Schindler was in the courtroom all day today and has more tonight from Brunswick.
It was another difficult day in court today, both for jurors and for spectators, with prosecutors hammering home the racist statements made by these three defendants, saying that those were the reason that they chased Ahmaud Arbery and that the bias was the reason that they didn't show any remorse after they killed him. Prosecutor Tara Lyons said the defendants didn't show Arbery the compassion that they would a hunting dog that they'd hit with their truck. She said they offered him, quote, not a touch, not a tear, not a kind word, or even a prayer as he lay dying in the middle of the street. And she ran through a litany of racist terms the men used, saying that was what the men thought of Arbery when they chased him and when they killed him. A bit of testimony that caused Ahmaud Arbery's mother to cry out briefly in court today. The attorneys then insisted for the three men, saying they didn't defend their client's racist attitudes, but they insisted that the reason the men chased Arbery was not because he was black, but because they recognized him from surveillance video of his 4 prior nighttime visits to Satilla Shores. They also told jurors that while they may hold the defendants responsible for Arbery's death, that this is not a murder trial and that it's not an issue for them to consider. Instead, prosecutors have to prove that the defendants were trying to deprive Ahmaud Arbery of his right to use the public streets specifically because of his race. His mother, Wanda Cooper-Jones, spoke earlier today outside court.
Very emotional. This has been very draining, and I'm thankful that it's almost over. I think the timing is great. The anniversary date is the 23rd, and hopefully we'll have a good verdict by the 23rd.
Just a short while ago, the judge dismissed the jury, saying she was going to send them home for the night. She wants them back at 9 a.m. to begin their deliberations. We'll, of course, be here at the courthouse in Brunswick. Ann Schindler, First Coast News, on your side.
And our coverage of this hate crime trial continues on air and online. You can read what prosecutors and the defense said in closing arguments today. That's right now on our website, firstcoastnews.com. Jacksonville voters now less than 24 hours away from deciding who will fill the vacant city council seat left by the late Tommy Hazouri. 199 polling locations will be open across Duval County. Up for grabs tomorrow is the at-large City Council Group 3 seat. Now, it is a close race between both candidates. They received about 35% of the votes during February's special election. Republican Nick Howland and Democrat Tracy Polson will be the only names on the ballot tomorrow. A University of North Florida poll has Polson coming in 0.6 percentage points ahead of Howland. So that means just a handful of votes really could change the outcome. Both candidates are counting on voters to turn out.
My candidacy is all about support for public safety, support for jobs, and moving Jacksonville forward.
Working with both Republicans and Democrats to solve problems. So we need a leader. We need somebody who is going to solve problems for the people of this city.
Polls are open tomorrow from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. in Duval County. Remember that you do have to vote at your home precinct. You can find your polling location on your voter information card, your sample ballot, or on the Duval County Supervisor of Elections website. Also, when you go to vote, make sure you have a photo ID with you. You need something like your Florida driver's license, your military or student ID, or a passport.